trying to drive home, and the map tells me to turn right, so I turn right, and then I'm just like in line for like a toll booth looking thing, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? And so I like roll the window down and look at the guy, and he's like, where are you going? And I'm like, Bremerton? And he's like, all right, 25. And I was like, and I like handed him money, and he handed me the ticket, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I just like started pulling forward, and then I looked, and it was like this big ass ferry, and I was like, oh shit.
Damn,
so
man.
I end up pulling onto this ferry, and I like call my sister because she used to live up there, and she would go on all the time. I'm like, am I doing this right? Like, they're having me park the car on the boat. Is that okay? Like, and I was like freaking out, dude.
We are back. Rough
Did it.
Draft Research.
We came full circle and ended up right where we started.
Yeah.
In front of the camera.
You know what's funny? I was listening to this episode that we did last year. Exact same date. Exact same material. Pretty cool, huh?
Nice,
May
man.
18, 2021. YouTube, check it out if you want to see the old stuff.
I came up with some good ideas that we're rehashing 1 year later. So what's up?
I know.
We almost made it full circle. I missed the mark by a couple thousand miles, but
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Your likeness is here on film.
But yeah, we're doing pick trade value. What is it? What are we doing?
We're doing
what do we call it?
I'm calling it the post-draft grades.
Post-draft grades. I'll cut that out.
Nah, dude, it doesn't matter. We can also talk about trade value if you guys want to get into the trade values.
Not at all.
I think that
I'm
this is
terrible at trade value.
and I'm terrible
lose
at
a lot of
trades
trades.
and value and building a fantasy football roster. So
Yeah.
I just like to talk about young players that are unproven and likely will, be stars in the USFL. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm here for.
We should do a USFL corner.
We should.
Darther's guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hit enough UDFAs.
There you go.
But this is kind of a high level review of the draft as far as skill positions. We never really got a chance to really review the draft in depth as far as looking at depth charts and kind of the landing spots and how the draft capital affects how we feel about these guys. So we break it down into 4 categories, most of which I just discussed: landing spot grades, future role grades, raw talent, and then the draft capital. And that just kind of gives us a metric on which to measure these guys.
Yeah, we got a nice little graph on the screen. So if you're listening, flip on over to the YouTube channel, like, subscribe, and you can follow along kind of with this sheet. And if you want it, message us, and maybe we'll send it to you. Some
Work.
grades.
Work.
Some draft grades.
Smells like a racer up in here doing some homework.
Perfect, baby. So yeah, we all put in our rankings. We got this master sheet here, the collection. It might be a little overwhelming, but
Yeah, it is. I don't know if who's looked at this or
Jesus.
when, but
yeah.
on the on the far left, I did our consensus rankings. So as far as the total scores, so that is good to know. And I think it's pretty interesting. I was looking at you guys' stuff, and it gets a little exciting, if you ask me. One thing that I saw that was interesting is we all had the same exact player with the last 4 or above score. It's a 5-point scale. This is just a random thing that I happened to notice, but we all had Alec Pierce at a 4.0.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of funky.
Huh.
But I don't know if that makes any sense. For Christian, that was his 11th player. 11 players above 4. I had 12, and AJ had 14. So it was kind of interesting. But yeah, where do you guys want to start with the landing spot grades?
Sure.
Yeah,
All
go
right.
for it, homie.
You got it. So no surprise on some of these landing spot grades. We were all pretty happy about where Treylon Burks ended up. That's a depth chart that's wide open in Tennessee. There's a little bit of news about him. I don't know if you guys saw that he was
the breathing.
Yeah, unable to finish the first practice. But I'm looking at just available targets on the 4for4. They have a nice page on that. And apparently there's 67% available targets at Tennessee. So
Well, yeah, I mean, you had 105 for AJ Brown, and that's immediately the guy you literally traded to go get this pick to take Treylon Burks. I don't know if there's an easier like point A to point B comparison
Right.
for what you should expect out of Treylon Burks. 105 targets, 63 catches, 869 yards, and 5 touchdowns in 13 games for AJ Brown last year. So, I mean, that's what you're wanting, and somebody's got to take those targets. So,
yeah, Robert Woods is new in town.
true.
And so there's a lot of new. This is a team that never really got the tight end position off the ground since Jonnu Smith was no longer with the team. So what the hell's going to happen in the passing game with Tennessee? It's starting to get a little scary,
I mean, even is Derrick Henry going to be Derrick Henry? 27 coming off a season-ending injury.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. They have to. Something's got to break in this division, man. It's going to be a weird one to watch. But it gets a little dicey after that. I think maybe it went a little Homer City on the we got some up and downs as far as the landing spot grades. And yeah.
Well, yeah, let's get into it.
Okay.
Let's have a little debate ski here.
Little debate. Let me just so AJ has a bunch of 5s for his landing spot grades, including Kenny Pickett. So
I have Kenny Pickett as a 5 as well.
You do? I don't.
Yeah.
Think I
Oh,
do.
no, landing spot. Never mind.
Yeah.
4.5.
Okay. I have him as a 5 as well.
Okay.
So wait, what was the debate there?
I'm just wondering, what is a 5? I've been going back and forth on this in my life, and I think it might be something we set forward early in this episode.
That's interesting because kind of I was going through the landing spots from last year, and it does kind of get a little interesting because, I mean, you look at Trevor Lawrence, right? Last year we had him as a 5. We had Trey Lance as a 5. We had Amari Rodgers as a 5. So it's like it's interesting because you see the opportunity, so you don't really, I guess, count in coaching.
Yeah.
You don't count in. I don't know. It just seems weird. So like after that first full year, what would you put Trey Lance's landing spot?
It's gonna be like a 3.5, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. But
I don't know. The landing spot one is always tough for me in this thing we do because future role kind of ties into the landing spot a little bit. That's what makes it so good. But I guess for me, landing spot is a combination of like how I feel about the team they landed on, how I feel about the opportunities he's going to get. I guess it's more opportunity based than anything. Whereas future role, I guess, is what I see them actually ending up as. So for like Kenny Pickett,
right.
I give him a 4.5 for landing spot because I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are a very well-run organization. They're always pretty up there, but as far as like first-round quarterbacks, he's still like a late first-round guy. The offensive line still isn't great, so I don't give it a 5. But that's where I get the 4.5. But then if you look at his future role, he's got a 5 because he's going to be the starting quarterback. You know, like if that's going to work, who fucking knows? But he's going to get the chance.
College career right next door, practice in the same facility. It's almost like you can't get better than a landing spot for someone like that.
Yeah, that's fair too.
Cool. Sorry, guys. I'm just like, I'm asking my own questions. I hope it comes through as entertaining.
Dude, just go through it. What pops up? What's interesting? We're winging it, baby.
Oh, yeah. We're definitely. Sorry.
Never mind. No. You're good.
Okay. So there are some other discrepancies, I'm sure. So let me just look at a couple of them. I love your Skyy Moore landing spot rating is a 4. I think me and AJ both have 5s. And we're not going to gang up on you all day. This is just me going through.
No, so that was just purely, again, I think people are sleeping on MDS. Everyone's saying Skyy Moore is going to slide right in. But I mean, okay, so look at somebody like Christian Watson, who I gave a 5 to landing spot. Mm-hmm. Because the names he's competing with are Alan Lazard and old Randall Cobb.
Right.
Whereas Skyy Moore, he's still competing with Juju Smith-Schuster, Mecole Hardman, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Like, he doesn't immediately slide in as the number 1 on paper, at least. So that's why I slid him down to a 4. But I guess maybe that's future role. I don't know. That's the thing. The landing spot thing is hard for me to nail down.
Okay, I'm with you. So I always think a landing spot is like the quality of, obviously the quality of the passing game if for a wide receiver, quality of O-line for a quarterback, and then, run game tendencies and competition for running back, obviously. And then in the future role, this ties into my Skyy Moore grade. I gave him a 5 for a future role. And that's because I'm looking at Mecole Hardman. It's got 1 year left on his contract. Juju Smith-Schuster's on a 1 year. So just stuff like that just makes it to where even if he doesn't hit the ground running, he's in a power offense that wants to pass the ball. And if there's no way that he's in the same core next year, probably. So he could be the more established option and emerge as the number 1 going forward. It's kind of how I roll with the future roles.
Fair. I'd say after that, I would probably reverse mine. I think I got a little caught up in future role with the landing spot when first doing that. I would definitely agree. The future role is definitely a 5.
Okay.
Being tied to Mahomes. But landing spot, it seems like it's going to be a little crowded for this year, definitely.
At least off the jump. And I love Skyy Moore, obviously. I mean, if you look at the raw talent rating I gave him a 4.5, which is the same as I gave like Chris Olave. So I'm super high on Skyy Moore. So could he overcome like the other names that are there? Fucking absolutely he could. I definitely think he's that good. But just if you look at a pure, you're the one changing it. Okay, gotcha. I won't change it anymore.
You can change it. I was just go ahead.
But yeah, so I guess from that angle, that's where I'm at. I think he absolutely has the potential to overcome all of this, but if you're looking at it from a pure on paper standpoint, I do think it's a little less of an appealing spot than some of these other places.
Right on, man. Well, that's what we're here to discuss, is kind of how we feel about, where these people end up and spend a little more time on it. So cool. I'm going through because I only gave 4 5s for a landing spot. So, and you guys gave a few more than that. So, and you can sort your sheet any way you want, man. I gave some stuff just for the talking spots
for landing spot.
Okay.
Oh, I gave 6.
Yeah, Mr. Generous over here. So Christian Watson did hit a 5 for me, and a 5 for the future, and I think he touched on all of that. So he's got a pretty outstanding.
I gave him a 4 for future. I'm not quite convinced.
I gave him a 4 for future.
Not quite convinced, but I do. We'll see.
So my thing with the number 4, I feel like the Packers are planning to move away from an offense that's dominated by a true number one receiver, and they're about to spread the ball around a lot. And so from that angle, I see Watson being the over the top option who gets a lot of the like primary looks, but he's not going to be Devontae Adams. And that's why, like maybe he's not a 5 because they're going to use Doubs and they're going to use Watson and Lazard and Cobb. They're going to use everyone.
Yeah.
And that's where I see it going anyway.
Big Bob.
Yeah, Big Bob's still there.
Kylan Hill.
Big Dog, Mercedes Lewis. They're going to use Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in the pass game. Like, it's just going to be more spread out, and that's why I didn't give him a 5 for future role. But I did give him a 5 for landing spot because there's just nobody there.
Yeah. And I mean, they made a lot of statements with their offseason, right? I mean, the past couple off seasons, the running back room is locked in, and it's been really viable, and it's super solid. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, like, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch. So they could have kept any number of the wide receivers they just let walk, essentially, or trade. So yeah, I guess it kind of does go to show that that what we've known as far as the Devontae Adams era is not going to be resurrected immediately through one player.
And I kind of think it makes sense. I mean, I love Devontae Adams, and I think he's one of the best receivers maybe ever if he continues the way he's been playing. But like, you got to also take a step back and look when you're Green Bay and go, okay, like, it sucks losing Adams. They obviously wanted to keep him. It keeps coming out that they made offers and tried to make it work. But at the end of the day, once Adams is gone, then you look at it and you go, okay, well, I guess we didn't win a fucking Super Bowl with him anyway. Like, are we going to just try to do that again, or should we pivot and maybe change the way this offense is structured? And I think that's kind of where they're at.
Fuck yeah, man. I'm all for it. Well, I love it. So that's been all 4 of my landing spot 5s. And I guess we can get into a couple of more that you guys had that I didn't have, and we'll go from there. You had the Romeo. We'll just stick in the same wide receiver core, Green Bay. Oh, Romeo. Romeo Doubs, Nevada Wolfpack. So you got him as a 5 on the landing spot, and you know what? I don't know. AJ Bueller has him as a 4. Yeah.
This is interesting too, because I was looking at last year's.
I had 3.5.
And I think it's interesting because last year, looking at Trey Sermon and Elijah Mitchell, we all had Trey Sermon as like a 4 landing spot and Elijah Mitchell as a 3. So I just think that's interesting why they wouldn't be similar.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, for me,
that's true.
I really, really liked Doubs, and I thought he was going to go in the late 2nd, early 3rd of the draft, to be honest. And so I kind of do put him on the same level as Christian Watson. If you look at my other scores, I gave Christian Watson a raw talent grade of 4, and I gave Romeo Doubs a 3.5. So it's not like I think he's that far behind him. And like, do I think I can see a scenario where Doubs actually ends up being the better rookie receiver out of the 2 this year? Who fucking knows, man? Like, that's kind of, I kind of just threw him on the same part. And that's why I kept it. Whereas last year, I guess maybe I was with Elijah Mitchell, like maybe trying to temper expectations, and he went as a 6th round pick. Sermon was a 3rd, so you pick somebody 3 rounds ahead of somebody, kind of knocks them down. Which I guess you could say the same thing with Watson and Doubs. Doubs was taken 2 rounds after Watson, but I don't know, man. Maybe it's just Doubs love there.
Yeah, I mean,
I think you're right, and I think that in spite of having created this sheet myself, I think I let the draft capital affect my landing spot grade, where those are clearly supposed to be graded separately. But then you have to think as a landing spot with the draft capital, Christian Watson, 34th player.
Well, it goes down, definitely.
He's the number 1. He's on the field and 85% of snaps, right? And then you look at a guy picked 100 picks later, essentially, and he's competing with Amari Rodgers to even get on the field, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
And in that kind of sense. True. So that's why I gave him the 3.5.
Hey, man, don't ever worry about draft capital. The Messiah himself, Must Love Diggs, was a 5th round draft pick. So
I'm all
just
you
saying,
guys know I love me some Doubs.
I'll talk about my 5 landing spot. I don't know where y'all had him. I put John Metchie as a 5.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't know. I'm a Metchie fan. After watching a few Alabama games last year, you know, he broke out. I just think he's a solid possession guy, and I think this guy could be Davis Mills' best friend. I don't know. I put a future role as a 4 because I think that quarterback room or position is questionable. I don't know if Davis Mills is going to be there next year, but if there's any way that Davis Mills holds on the next 2 to 3 years with this starting job, I think his main guy is going to be John Metchie. It's especially in like a PPR setting. This guy kind of reminds me as a guy that's going to be like a better version of a Hunter Renfrow.
Oh, yeah. So you think it's going to be a sous chef to that Brandon Cooks?
I think so,
Take
man.
over all the recipes. I like that, man.
No, I like it a lot. I gave it a 4. Just the reason I didn't give it a 5 was because of the question mark of Davis Mills and the coach and just Houston.
Optimism. I should have gave it a 4.5.
First year coach Davis Mills. Like
yeah, like there's just
there's for me there's
plus
a
coming
weird
out injury, you know.
For some reason there's a weird excitement for the Texans. I don't know what it is.
I guess I was a Lovie Smith fan. That guy.
You just roast some marshmallows on a dumpster fire, dude. No problem, man. Might be a good time. I like it though. John Metchie, I think, is definitely going to surprise people. He's just, I have him as like, I don't doubt him, but I'm not about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. Understandable.
Let's see.
That's it for my 5s.
Yeah, Christian had Khalil Shakir in there as a 5er.
Ooh.
I did, but I was looking at that.
Goodness.
I'm pretty sure I had him flopped. I had the future role and the landing spot flopped because I don't like his landing spot for this year because they do have Crowder there, but I love his future role rating with the Bills. So it should probably be closer to like a 4 and a 5 than a 3 and a 5. But yeah, so I think he's going to slide in there as the new slot guy whenever Crowder's out of town. You got Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs out there. And it's just a lot. There's a lot going on in that offense. And so from that angle, I'm not super stoked. But I think they're drafting him, planning on him taking over in the slot later on.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, they re-signed Isaiah McKenzie to 2 years.
I think it's 1 year. Or 2
I think it was
years,
real cheap 2-year deal.
Or something like that. So,
which that's always a name that's like that I'm always watching
like
going
5,
into like
7,
a redraft.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like I think he like surprises every once in a while. He's like that Jalen Guyton where you're just like, should I pick him up before that breakout game? And then you're just like, why am I wasting my time with shit like this? So I can definitely see Shakir, hardworking guy, dude, fucking backboard hands.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
The coined Darther name.
I do love me some Shakir, and I love that offense, and I think the future role definitely could be a 5 for sure. Definitely a guy not to sleep on. Well, cool. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm really making it up as I go.
We're winging it, baby.
You guys feel free to grab the wheel and punch me in the jaw, whatever you need to do. But I'm going to go and just see who we have for future roles that are a 5 that might not have got a landing spot 5. Does that sound cool?
Okay.
So we'll end up talking about guys, but we're just talking about high scores per category to set it up. And just looking at my own sheet, a guy we haven't mentioned that I have as a 5 for future role is Drake London. So I can pull you guys up. If you
I
also had a 5.
Yeah, I had a 5 future role. I had a 4 landing spot. I think the main concern is the quarterback right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knocked it to a 4.5 for the landing spot on London, but then he got a 5 for future role and raw talent.
Right there with you on that.
So yeah, yeah, I'm super high on it. I mean, there are 183 targets up for grabs in Atlanta with, Calvin Ridley not being there, Russell Gage leaving. Just there's a quite a bit of targets out there to grab. I mean, Bryan Edwards probably immediately becomes the number 2 if you don't include Kyle Pitts. So there's going to be some room to grow. But I mean, London is the purest version of a true number 1 receiver in this class. He's big, he's physical, he has a chance to dominate in the NFL at all levels. So, he's gonna get it when he goes to a team, somebody who's purely a true number 1, and then he goes to a team where there's not one of those. It's got to be a 5.
Dude,
Absolutely.
It's got to be the best Hail Mary team in the league, right? Just like send Kyle Pitts and Drake London. just throw it up, man. Like
big as fuck. Like,
Got
whatever.
that big arm tossing it to him, too. That's why I went for Ritter, man. I was like, Bryan Edwards, freaking Drake London, obviously, and then Kyle Pitts. I'm like, yeah, whatever. This
You know
could
what
be
it is.
This could be a thing. Cordy P tossing
Cordy
dump
P.
offs to CP. Like Desmond Ritter might just, or Marcus Mariota, I guess, could also be awesome.
Right.
But yeah, we don't really think Calvin Ridley's coming back to the Falcons next year, right?
Definitely not next year. He's suspended for a year.
2023.
3? I don't know, man. Maybe.
And he is 27 already.
Oh, I guess, yeah, probably not.
It's still a 5th year.
I mean, the
On
only
his
person that
contract.
hurts is Bryan Edwards, isn't it?
Yeah, yep. And Bryan
guess
Edwards
I
does have
just-
2 years on his deal.
I don't know. Is anybody going to want him? And then Atlanta kind of did him a solid and let him take time away. And then I don't know. It didn't seem like the relationship was really ruptured there. It was it almost seemed like Atlanta was trying to do him a favor for his mental headspace and trade him out of Atlanta. But then they found out about the gambling shit. So Atlanta was trying not to be pieces of shit. So they backed out of their trade. So, after a year where Calvin Ridley gets to hang out and see if he even wants to play football, maybe he will want to come back to Atlanta.
That'd be nasty.
I like that. I see a second year for Desmond Ritter, like the second year for Joe Burrow went. You know what I mean?
Oh, I
Yeah.
like
So
that.
getting stanky, getting nasty. All right, I got to cut myself off. I've gotten weird. I made this happen to us all, and so I'm just gonna keep on rolling, baby. Another guy with a future role of a 5 is Jameson Williams for me. Maybe you guys as well. And that's
Same.
that goes the
When I-
same route. Kind of, they didn't take a quarterback, right? And obviously Goff is a stopgap, so could be looking at some high flying action. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
a reunion with
Well-
his college QB next year. You never know.
Something I like about this year too is, man, that secondary for the Lions is not great.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you could see a lot of fucking high shootout games possibly.
So a couple overtime ties.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
baby. Yeah, right. Minnesota. Yeah.
Could see some crazy stuff.
But yeah, I like Jameson Williams to the Lions.
I mean, just like Drake London, you're talking about a guy who comes in and is immediately the number 1 in an offense. And you know what? For the first time in a long time, the Lions look like they're on a come up. And so now you're getting the number 1 receiver on a team that's on their way up. Now, I'm sure in true Lions fashion, they'll fuck it up somehow. But on the outside looking in on a segment like this, you got to give him a 5. I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got one too. Jahan Dotson, I had as a 5.
Really?
Future role. I just I like the guy, man. Sticky hands. I think he could be a true number 1 if you kind of surrounded this guy with maybe a field stretcher and some talent around him, like a real quarterback maybe would help.
No, that wouldn't help.
Yeah, I could see it. I put it as a 3 just because, Terry McLaurin's there. We don't know who the quarterback is. De'Ami Brown's still there. Curtis Samuel's still there. There's just a lot of question marks to me. Not necessarily guys I'm super invested in, I guess. I could see him taking over for Samuel. I gave Dotson a 4 for raw talent. So I mean, he's got the ability to overcome it and take advantage of it. But I just don't know if I'm right there with you as far as the future role.
I just have a feeling with Terry McLaurin getting older, I think next year, no, not because of his age. I'm saying because he's getting older, I think next year he's going to want to get paid. And I think it's going to be the holdout, trade me or pay me. And I just don't think they're going to pay him.
I mean, even if he gets franchise tag.
But for what? Like, I'm with you. I could see that happening. But why on God? Like, well, who the fuck else are you paying? Pay Terry McLaurin. Like, what?
Straight up.
That would be stupid. Like, at least when Kansas City and Green Bay trade their top receiver, you kind of understand it.
And it wasn't the first deal after a rookie contract, right?
Yeah, exactly. They'd already been signed once. But that is the way the league's going, though. So you could be out ahead of it, and Dotson could end up being the number 1 guy. And me, I fucking love Jahan Dotson. I have this whole time. So if McLaurin leaves, then all right, let's ride. But I just don't know if I see that yet because it wouldn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Yeah, Curtis Samuel's under contract through 2024, and like you're saying, De'Ami Brown's second year of a rookie contract. So
it is the second round pick too, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just can't see Terry with any other team. And I know this stuff happens all the time, but it kind of. Yeah, I don't know. Out of respect, I think
massive optimism on that. Well. I'm just
Oh, you're good.
And I here first.
If we want to, do you have another landing spot?
I do.
5. Yeah.
If we're talking future role ratings and 5s, I gave Chris Olave a 5. I think Chris Olave kind of works best as not the number 1. He needs to kind of be the number. I mean, he can be a number 1, but I think you'll get the most out of him when he can be the number 2 that doesn't have to be as physical, that breaks open your offense and kind of makes it go. And then you have, if Michael Thomas ever plays football again, you have like the best version of a number 1 physical guy on the other side there to kind of help Olave, because Olave's whole thing, his biggest weakness is that he's not physical. If he's the number 1 guy, okay, well, you put a bump and run corner on him with safety help over the top, and you can kind of fuck with his game a little bit in the NFL. Whereas now, if you have Michael Thomas on the other side, you can't do that every single play. And so I think it gives Olave a lot more options and a lot more freedom to kind of operate. And so that's why because they obviously are going to use the shit out of him. They traded a billion picks to move up and take Olave. So yeah, I gave Olave a 5 as well for future role.
Yeah, I gave him a 4.5, and it's just because I want to see what the Saints look like without Sean Payton. Before I overcommit. But Jarvis Landry's on a 1 year. Marquez Callaway done with the Saints contractually after this year, as of right now. So, yeah, his future looks super bright. Michael Thomas under contract through 2025. They could be the best 1-2 punch in the league. Sorry, Cincy. But, yeah. I don't know, man. It really just depends. They can't be better than the Cincinnati 1-2 punch, can they?
No.
Well, I mean, a lot of this is fucking hinging on Michael Thomas not being a psychopath and playing football. So
yeah, it's a razor's edge between elite athletic ego and too much.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could dance that line, man. So
he does it pretty well.
Yeah, he's definitely put up some solid production and had some
He's
solid questionable
Ohio
moments
State
as well.
alumni.
He's tiptoeing that Antonio Brown area.
Two
though.
Buckeyes on the same team. Yeah. But that's a line, a lot of professional athletes. You got to smell your own farts when you get up there, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
We're modest folks. That's why we are here.
That's true.
Someone that I had that I don't think you guys had as a 5 is I put George Pickens.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I think there's a world where he could be the number 1 receiver moving forward in Pittsburgh land. Everyone's already talking about Claypool being obsolete at this point. I mean, Deontay Johnson, I think they picked up his replacement in Calvin Austin. I think they're rebuilding. I think they're just plugging people back in. I think there's a world where George Pickens can really rule this landscape in Pittsburgh, on top of maybe building that rapport with old Kenny Pickett. And I think that could be a real dynamic duo moving forward. The future of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the way you painted in that simplistic, crude Crayola sketch makes it really something I believe in. I can see it. It's
if
all
you're
primary
replacing
colors, but it's
Deontay
nice.
Johnson with Calvin Austin, you're fucking up. I'm gonna throw that out there right now.
Big words, big words.
I mean, I like Calvin Austin fine. I don't know. I just think Deontay Johnson is fucking sick. But
with that play scheme, though, I think he could be that role, man. He gets off the ball real easy, short, runs the intermediate passing routes, and then have George Pickens run that alpha baby Pat Fryer move.
I'm not disagreeing with you about George Pickens. I was more commenting on the Calvin Austin thing. I think a little bit of this is the way people are talking about Chase Claypool is a little bit of post-draft excitement.
I agree.
So I don't think Claypool's on the way out. I had Pickens as a 3.5 future role rating. Probably should be a 4. I'm going to be honest. I should probably give him a 4 at the very least. But I do think he could be the true number 1 there. But like, I envision a world where why wouldn't you have Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, and then if you want Calvin Austin, he did run a 4.32. Why can't he be your deep threat? Yeah. And then you keep Deontay Johnson, who's a nasty little underneath route runner who's going to catch you fucking 15 passes a game. Then George Pickens to physically dominate people on the outside. And then you got Calvin Austin just to burn people when you need him.
Yeah, that's
so I guess I'm phasing out Claypool too, but
well, that's where I come into like the idea of George Pickens kind of clashes with what's already there. And then the Calvin Austin role, I feel like if he hits camp and does what we've seen him do, what he did in the Senior Bowl one-on-one drills, just uses the speed and agility at the line of scrimmage to separate and just get open, clean. I'm just worried about Pickens, man. It's a crowded wide receiver room. And in a situation like that, a guy could get left behind a little bit.
No, not going to happen.
Okay.
Trust my love, dude. Trust my love.
I'm with you. All for it.
I'm with you. I'm just not sold like you are. Like you're already buying tickets. You booked the flight. You're in it. I'm more
the
like
jerseys in the mail. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I could see that happening. I'm just not sold on it. And it's the same thing. Like whereas if you look at the receivers in that offense and what they do, there's a very clear area where two of them run together, and it is Chase Claypool and George Pickens.
Yeah,
they do similar things. I mean, they're not exactly the same player. Pickens is a better player than Claypool, I think.
What?
We'll find out. But they do, like, they kind of fit in the same area of that offense, which is fine, but it leaves it a little more murky to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just look at Pickens as kind of clashing with the Claypool role, and so it's kind of any wins.
Clashing Claypools.
Yeah. It's all good. It don't matter. There's plenty of room to go around. You got a little Pickett throwing the shit, and you can always just roll on.
Pickett to Pickens would be one of the best, like, consistent announcer calls if they got that relationship going where
Straight
Pickens
up.
is number one.
Pickens,
Alliteration, baby.
Pickett,
Pickens.
Pickett to Pickett. Bah! So here's a hot take, fellas. I'd put Matt Corral as a 5 on the future landings or the future roll rating. Yeah,
I had him as a 4. I mean,
okay. I didn't see him on your guys' list towards the top like he was on mine.
oh, it's because I gave him a 2.5 for raw talent and a 3 for landing spot because I don't believe in the Panthers, but a 4 for future role because he's definitely gonna take that job from Sam Darnold.
Either way, I think that Matt Corral, he is kind of the starting quarterback there for now.
Yeah.
And if he does anything year one, he's got the weapons around him to succeed. So,
Did you guys see the weird Matt Corral, Ian Rappaport drama that's going on?
I did not.
Okay, so whoever's listening to this, take this with a grain of salt, and go research it for yourself. But essentially, Ian Rappaport after the draft was asked why Matt Corral was falling, and he referenced a quote that Matt Corral had where Matt Corral said, you know, when I was there were some distractions going on with drinking and yada, yada, yada. And I got that stuff out of my life and I'm in a better spot and moving forward. And so Ian Rappaport referenced that and said, like, yeah, so I think that had something to do with it. Like, people have been known about this behind the scenes stuff. He's been dealing with, like, depression and alcoholism, like, stuff like that. And it was, like, referencing stuff that Matt Corral said. Well, then Matt Corral got really upset about the fact that Ian Rappaport said it and then said he never said any of that. And now Ian Rappaport's like, yeah, but I have the quote from when you said it. Like, like if you don't, like, it's fine that you don't like what I said and, like, you can have a problem with it and you can tell me that. But, like, I'm quoting you, though. And so now it's just this, like, weird, I don't know. I just wanted to throw it out there. It just seemed like a really weird situation to me to add into the Carolina QB room. And, you know, if he is dealing with depression or whatever, I hope he finds the help he needs. And it sounds like he is on the right path based on what he was saying. But I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there. It just seemed kind of weird to me.
Now he's add liar to the docket. Now he's a liar.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Take it with a grain of salt because this is something I did hear about and I listened to Ian Rappaport talk about, but I did not research it fully. So
Nope, I'm putting that out on our Twitter. Christian says Matt Corral's a liar.
Full of shit. Corral is shit. Well, that's interesting. I think that's the kind of story that fades into nothing.
Oh, yeah. It was more of a interesting. Sorry, I probably should have added that on at the end instead of right in the middle of your Matt Corral point. But
no, you're good, dude. And honestly, I don't have too many Matt Corral points except for, you know, DJ Moore's going to get 1,200 yards from somebody.
Yeah,
true.
And,
he's taken over from Sam Darnold. The first game where Sam Darnold goes out there and he looks completely lost the way Sam Darnold does.
But rushes for 6 touchdowns.
Well, that's the thing. He still, like, has the ability, but it's like you can almost tell. Like, some games he goes out there and you watch him the first couple of series and you're like, he doesn't have it today. Like, he's erratic. He's making weird decisions. I mean, he said it himself against the Patriots. He saw ghosts and, like, couldn't get it straight. It just seems to happen to him a lot. So now that Corral's there, the first time that happens, with Matt Rule's job being on the line probably this year, in my opinion anyway, nah, dude, you got to pull Sam Darnold.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta go for Corral. You got to give him a shot.
Yeah, I think Corral could have had 8 rushing touchdowns given the same situations that Darnold
that's
got
true.
his 6.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
Given that, plus he's got Terrace Marshall Jr.
Oh!
Maybe a healthy CMC. So
Robbie Anderson wearing number 3 now. There you go.
don't even get me with these fucking jersey number changes, man. Making me sick over here. I'm burning cards and jerseys trying to figure out which one's still relevant.
True that.
It's breaking my heart. Breaking my heart. Cool. Let's see. Anyone else got any that pertain to this category?
That of the future role.
Not that we have not
Cleaned it
talked
up.
about already.
I see one on AJ's board, Mr. Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson, yeah, man. I have him as a 5. I think the New York Jets are building. I think Corey Davis, he's still got, 3 more years on his contract? Did he sign a 4-year?
Yeah, I bet so.
I don't know. I think he can come in and... Is it 2?
2024.
2024. Yeah. Okay, on his way out. I couldn't remember. Probably should have researched that before. I'll edit that out.
I got the depth charts and the free
I
agent
just
years.
think
Let me know.
they're building their future. They're building who they want, and I think it looks great. They bring in Breece Hall. They're like, we're not satisfied with Michael Carter. We want Breece Hall. Like, it's a team that was very active in the draft, knew exactly who they wanted, took him at 10. I think he is the future. It all comes down to Zach Wilson now. The talent around him is there. They've rebuilt the line. Elijah Moore. I think it's go time for Wilson. I think it's all in the hands of the Wilson bros.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I give him a 4. I could
I'm bad at this.
Big Willie style.
I could very easily see it being a 5. Here's my thing though, that I think people are sleeping on a little bit. So we talk about how the Jets are trying to run a similar like Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur type offense. They need wide receivers that can block, especially when they get close to the end zone. If you watch a Green Bay game, Alan Lazard hardly ever comes off the field, even if they're running the ball, because he's a great blocker. I think Corey Davis is going to be a lot on the field, a lot more than people think. And they're going to go these 2 tight end sets with Corey Davis on one side. So they have to pull somebody. Now, is that going to be Moore or Wilson or a combination of both? Where are we going to go? And then there's still other names there. Braxton Berrios came on strong at the end of last year. Denzel Mims is still there. Also, side note.
He ain't there.
Side note. How much does it cost for Green Bay to just go get Denzel Mims?
A bag of potato
7th?
Chips.
Like a 5th round, like throw him a 5th round pick and take a chance on a super athletic guy.
It's kind of sad. I hate to see it,
Yeah.
It's like, Brian Edwards got traded, right?
Yeah.
Like, this stuff happens.
Like, do it. Go for it. Anyway, that was a note down the road. And then, and you brought it up, the question about Zach Wilson. I do think Zach Wilson's best chance to succeed in the NFL is being surrounded by a smart head coach and supreme talent. It's up to him now, because the Jets did that. I like their head coach. I like the structure of their offense, and I like the players that they have. It is time for Zach Wilson in year 2 to show something. And my thing is, if he doesn't, where are the Jets? Because now they're back to looking for a quarterback. You know what I mean?
Trade Zach Wilson to the Panthers.
Yeah, and then now you're
again.
looking for a quarterback again. And I guess that's my fear. And that's why, like, certain teams, as much as I'm excited about the Jets, I try to temper those expectations a little bit sometimes, because there's a reason the Jets have been so bad for so long.
Yep, Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. 2023 confirmed.
Love to see that. Yeah, you can
would've,
sell this stack.
It would be
Garrett
fun.
Wilson.
Hey, there
Nice.
you go.
Garrett
got a
Wilson
green
and Aaron
jersey.
Rodgers stack would be nasty.
Yeah, just how about Jordan Love for Denzel Mims? Straight up, let's go.
Yes, I
There
would
you
do
go.
that. I would do that in a heartbeat.
That's hilarious. All right. This has gotten ugly.
I don't know about that, actually. But
That's all right. You know what? I'm not even with you.
Come
guys.
on, Captain, steer the ship, bud.
You got it. So basically, what we've just done is gone through all the 5s in any one category for all the wide receivers. And so what we're going to do now is kind of a lightning round style, where we go through the rest of the wide receivers in order of their consensus grade amongst the 3 of us. And we could talk about the landing spot or the talent or whatever we want to discuss as we go through it. Does that sound great to you guys?
Sounds good, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So just working down this list, the first guy we get to has briefly been mentioned earlier in the cast conversation, and that's Alec Pierce. I think he had clean 4s across the board for all of us.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much sums it up. We've talked about him quite a bit. There's a possibility Paris Campbell gets healthy. I doubt T.Y. is back. But now you got Matt Ryan up there, and you got Michael Pittman Jr. We already know it's kind of a run-first team. It's been working. Why not go for it? But he slots in as a number 2 guy. We all like the talent. He kind of proved what he was, and sky's the limit.
100%. Yeah. There's no more perfect of a landing spot for Alec Pierce than Indianapolis, kind of, like he just fits. He's immediately the number 2, and I think that's what he needs to be. That's where his skill set is. But Pittman is not so dominating of a number 1 that, like, you're scared that Pierce isn't going to get the love. Like, he absolutely is, and Matt Ryan will find him. And I'm pretty excited about him. Now, after this year, and whenever Matt Ryan's not in Indianapolis anymore, okay, now we've got some questions to answer. But for this year, I'm super into it.
Yeah, that's where I am with these 4s across the board. I think it's what you have to do, because I could see these all falling to 3s, and I can see these all going to 5s.
Yeah.
So it's a wide receiver room that we've mentioned that everybody knows can't stay healthy. Matt Ryan, who knows if he's still got anything left in the gas or anything left in his shoulder for that matter. But then who knows? Next year they could draft a cured quarterback darling. What if half these quarterbacks that got drafted this year work out, and all of a sudden nobody needs a quarterback? All of a sudden the
just
Colts
Indy.
just Indy. And they get their Kenny Pickett at 22. I don't know.
Yeah, the best I could hope for is like a Justin Fields situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Where there's the 4th guy on the board just falls to them in the teens or whatever, and they trade up a little bit.
And they're already, let's say Alec Pierce works out. You got Jonathan Taylor. You got a sick offense. Trade your second. You don't need it. Move up. Grab your quarterback. Yeah. You're good.
Hell yeah, man. I'm just worried that we're going to see a Matt Stafford situation where Matt Ryan goes in and they just won the Super Bowl, How crazy would that be?
I'd be pissed because I put the money on the Colts last year, damn it.
I know, man. You're one step behind the Colt. All right, well, moving on to the next guy. Oh, finally, I've had this shirt for months, and now I'm rostering David Bell. So
feels good, right?
Absolutely. It feels great.
It's like part of the plan.
Yeah, like some things just come together.
Now, if you only would have got Olave.
I know, dude. And doing this episode isn't helping. But, with him, I have a future role as a 3.5 because what's happening now is he has the sky's the limit. I keep saying that. Why? He has all the opportunity in the world to be a number 2 guy and push Amari Cooper to be a 1B perhaps. And he's got everyone's pretty excited about Deshaun Watson when he's playing football. And so he's got that opportunity to play with the high caliber quarterback, but he also doesn't check all the boxes, and perhaps they go for someone next year early. And it's also the ground pound in C-Town all the way. So Cleveland's just going to run the ball regardless. So if they stick with that forever, then his production could be capped. But as I see it, I have him as a relatively strong wide receiver across the board going into his rookie year, and I'm pretty excited about what could be for him.
Well, don't forget also Stefanski came out and said, he wanted Bell no matter what.
No matter what, as long as he didn't have to take him early enough in the draft for it to seem like he really wanted him.
Sounds eerily similar to an Elijah Moore. It's like, we gotta have you, man.
Just wait.
Just as long as you're there when we want to take you.
Promise we'll take you with a double-digit pick. 99? Does 99 work for you? Perfect. I told you. It'd be double digits.
Hey, double digits. But I am with you, especially with the loss of Jarvis Landry. He does kind of slide into that offense fairly well. That team's going to be so fucking weird looking.
Yeah.
Like we talk about change.
A ground and pound team with a scrambling quarterback and I don't know.
They have to go away from the ground game with Watson.
Yeah. Sorry. Keep going, Christian.
That was it. They're just gonna look weird. I don't know. Like this whole season is gonna look weird, but I think people are underrating how like weird Cleveland's gonna look. Amari Cooper, weird that he's in Cleveland.
Well,
you got the whole Baker and Deshaun situation. Like
it's gonna
follow me on a journey through history, if you will. Like, we remember when Dallas got Amari Cooper and they had Zeke and, like, Dez was falling off and they had, like, Allen Hurns and whoever knows what else was going on. And they kind of, like, getting Amari Cooper and getting some youth around him and just kind of sticking with the run game, but letting Dak, a quarterback who's not really comparable to Deshaun, but definitely an upgrade over Baker kind of situation. I don't know, man. We could see the resurrection like that offense had through that whole situation, but I don't know. A balance between the run game and the pass game with the mobile quarterback that is willing to do what he's got to do to keep the ball in his hand. Get the first downs. And fucking shit
very
like that.
hands-on kind of guy.
Yeah, you could take the. Never mind. So next up, unless anyone else has something to say about David Bell or the Cleveland Browns, I'm going on now.
Just if they're gonna move away from running the ball, just do me a favor and trade Nick Chubb because he should have better numbers than he does anyway.
Trade him to New York. Put him on the Jets. Nick Chubb, Brees Hall, Michael Carter, LaMichael Pirine.
Let's go on to Tyquan Thornton. He goes to New England. He's fast. He got the capital. Picked 50th overall, ahead of a ton of dudes that we've already discussed. He's a guy that I gave a pretty healthy score to year one because I think he pops into a spot where I give him 4.5 on the landing spot. He doesn't have a ton of competition. I give him a 3 for a future role because there's no way they don't continue to address the wide receiver position. But it seems like he's the first guy in the long line of future Patriots to address the void that I believe is there. So I gave him the 4.5 on that, which bumped him up in my scores. The rest are 3 on a future and a raw. But I got hope for Mac Jones, and I think that Tyquan can get it done, man. I'm pretty excited to see what he can do with the Patriots. Personally. No one else? I understand. Patriots suck.
I don't really care about Tyquan Thornton or the Patriots, to be honest. I did give him a future role rating of 4, so I do echo what you're saying there. Like I agree that that role has been missing from that offense. But I thought it was a reach.
Yep.
And like a weird pick. So I actually gave him a raw of 2.5. And like a landing spot at 3. So I guess I was only like half different than you, like a half point different on the raw rating. So we're pretty much on the same page. I just don't get excited about it.
You know what they say, great minds stink alike. So, okay, man. We don't have to talk about him too much more. We're going to go to Velus Jones. He's in I guess you could say, a similar situation where he's with Chicago, where they have Darnell Mooney and like a sack of potatoes and Byron Pringles. Yeah, that's what they do with the potatoes. Actually, makes sense. And so there's a huge opportunity with the new coaching staff and Justin Fields if he can come around and get into gear. You're looking at Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney and, no one else. So even though Velus Jones is older and didn't really have consistent college production, he is dynamic, and he definitely tested well in the combine. So he has the opportunity to make the most of it. I think that's what gives him the little score bumps in this situation, keeps him relevant in our eyes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we were talking about Chicago needing a guy. It seemed weird that they went out and got a speed guy still to me. Doesn't really make a whole ton of sense. But he was the guy they got. And, when we're talking about guys getting opportunities on a team, we can't really poo-poo what style of player they take. That's opportunities are still there. So, yeah, I'm with you. I gave him 3s at least across the board. I think I gave him a landing spot of 3.5 just because, I don't know, young quarterback and not a lot of competition at his position. But still not a guy I'm overly excited about. I think it was a weird fit with Mooney.
Yeah, definitely was. They kind of got desperate. They didn't have any high picks. They had to address it. They did what they thought they had to do, but we'll see how it develops. There's potential. All right, we're going to roll out. There's 2 more day 1 and day 2 guys. Day 2 guys, I should say. But Wan Dal Robinson ends up with the Giants. And he got murdered on my landing spot and future role stuff. Those are some 2s, for a guy that got drafted at 43rd overall in the draft. So I can pull up the depth chart. It is what it is. Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard, apparently Kadarius Toney is still in that roster. Darius Slayton's there. Really avoid in the tight end room. That's something that can be, exciting to look out for. But I don't think there's enough targets to make this an exciting player. And it is what it is. He kind of tested not that great at the combine, super small. Just kind of just a let down across the board. So, and if anyone's got anything groundbreaking, toss it out there. Otherwise, we'll round out our day 1, day 2 guys.
I'd say the only thing is maybe people are just catching a bit of that Deebo Samuel syndrome, and they want to find a guy like that.
So let's run a 5'0", 12-pound guy to be Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
It's kind of like the Rams Tutu pick or the Giants Kadarius Toney pick.
Yeah, but it's like kind of a different organization that made that Toney pick for them to do it again with the new staff revamp. It's like
it's weird.
Especially what's going on here?
Yeah. Weird.
So, he's going to get opportunities just on pure draft capital. So maybe he doesn't get, thrown out of a game for punching a guy when he's already caught like 8 passes for 120 yards and is pretty much having the game of his rookie career, Kadarius. So maybe he doesn't do that. All right, last guy, Jalen Tolbert. He's Dallas. There's some holes to fill. We already mentioned Amari Cooper's with the Browns now, and then you've got Michael Gallup.
Yes.
With the Dolphins?
No. You're thinking Cedric Wilson.
He's still in Dallas.
Gallup is fucking pissed because he's the one who just signed that like weak ass receiver contract, and then Christian Kirk signed right after him.
Oh damn! Well, Cedric Wilson's no longer with the Cowboys.
Yeah, he's in Miami.
So there's 2 relevant players on this team that are no longer in town. So that's a huge opportunity in Dallas for him to step in and kick ass and take names. It's actually, I don't know what we think. Obviously, Gallup's the number 2 here, and then James Washington's around. And
tell our last year's boy, Simi Fioco.
He could he could slot in for some competition, but that's just that, man. It is what it is. He was a 3rd-round pick, so we got to talk about him a little bit. And we kind of touched on a couple of day 3 guys already. If anyone has a day 3 wide receiver they really want to throw some noise at, speak now, or forever move on to a different position group.
The only guy that really sticks out to me is Kyle Phillips.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just because there's not a lot of competition there. So if you can, work your ass off, show up in camp and show him what you got. I don't think he's that talented. He's not that big. But I don't know. If you were going to throw a dart for a day 3 receiver just based on competition alone, I would say maybe this guy.
Yeah.
I'd probably say Doubs, but then Phillips is a close. I just worry that we're stuck in the Josh Reynolds is going to be the tight number 3 receiver in
Right.
Titans. Like it's like a similar vibe. Because at the end of the day, Derrick Henry's coming back. They're going to go back to running him into the ground. So I guess I'm a little worried about that. But other than that, I'm with you 100%. Like the competition-wise, yeah. I mean, he's going to be going up against another rookie and an injured Robert Woods. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. And Josh Reynolds with the Lions now, so fuck all that.
I didn't even know that. What
Yeah.
the fuck?
It's not really relevant. I just saw that when I was looking at something else. Okay, so I've got one guy that I feel like we have to bring up, and Danny Gray. He was the 105th player drafted, and he goes to San Francisco. And tell me who the number 3 wide receiver in San Francisco is. Like
That one
because
guy?
You'd be educating me if you were to do that. Like even on their depth chart I've drawn up, I don't even have a guy. So he has opportunity.
Is it Dante Pettis?
No, Pettis is.
Oh, wait, sorry. That was in 2018.
Where the hell is Pettis? I just saw this too. Anyway, so he's got an opportunity, and he does have pretty solid draft capital. It's kind of a sneaky spot for him to go. But yeah, it is what it is. That's pretty much it for the wide receivers. You want to throw a undrafted free agent? I saw you gave some pretty high marks for Justin Ross.
Honestly, I just thought that would be fun. I did put the raw talent as 5, and obviously that's just freshman breakout year Justin Ross.
Yeah,
I just think
that
it
was
would be
raw.
silly if he shows out, if he can somehow get back to how he was, man. That's gonna look deadly over there. And then I can really plummet that Skyy Moore ranking.
Love that. Man, apparently Danny Gray was a compensatory pick round 3, so he was a day 2 guy. So that's
nice.
my bad, Danny. Sorry for throwing shade on you.
What the fuck?
We haven't talked about him too much, man, but he ran a 4.33 at 200 pounds and 6 foot tall. So
SMU, right?
Yep.
Mordecai. Throw it in the ball.
Mordecai. Yeah, Tanner Mordecai, dude. I can't wait for college football. I've changed, man. I've changed. I love me some college football.
Yeah, man.
It's changing my life. Anyway, I got to tend to my yard in the spring, but I'll be tending to my garden as we grow them future NFL stars this fall. But all right, well, I feel good about that. We touched on a couple of quarterbacks. I expect them to be sprinkled in throughout. We're just going off the top with what we got here. So thanks for loving. Thanks for listening. Thanks for liking and subscriptioning. It's been a good time. I've had a lot of fun just kind of open source talking with you guys.
Yep.
And
through the good times.
hit us with your comments. That you've got some thoughts, and you can always jump in with us. Feel free to fill out a sheet or give some grades. Argue with anything you saw here, and we'll let you know.
We're right unless you tell us otherwise. So,
amen, brother. So hit us with the truth.
If you tell us otherwise.
That's right. Yes.
Even I like that.
You challenging us only makes us better fantasy players.
Yep. Makes it show us how right we are.
Let's see. I love it.